and it changes the decisions they make and alters and shapes the game, and it's a nice advantage to have. Now here's a final card. This is neat for both Pat and I. We were completely unaware of this. Pat wasn't able to make it out to Japan for this particular event, and so we weren't there for the very, very end game testing. So I don't know who came up with this particular card, but I love it, and I'm very glad these guys came up with this. Actually, this is a card that David Mills spotted right away, all the way back when it was printed, and he really liked it. And it's been a long time in the coming, but we finally played it. We finally put it into the deck, and you can see in the coverage that what this guy does is a couple things. First of all, he helps us. I wouldn't be surprised to see one or two of these guys come in, even in the quarterfinal matchup where Gabriel's playing against a black-white deck, because after sideboarding, the guy's going to bring in more planeswalkers. And this guy's great against planeswalkers. It's just like Bammo, end of turn, here he is. Now he comes in and hits your planeswalker for 3. He's a flyer. He also has a bit more of that, he gives us a bit more of the Plume Veil effect, where he can come down and block. Obviously he's black, so he stands up to terror. And if you have that black and a colorless, black and blue, we can pay 1 life and pop him back to our hand as an instant, by the way. So even if he's on the board tapped, we can pop him back to our hand as an instant and throw him back down to block something. If a Mutavault's coming our way or what have you, and that's a really nifty thing. So that's our sideboard, and I talked a little bit about our matchups. I'm going to kind of end this off by talking about some of the more popular decks in the field and how we feel like the keeper matches up against them. I'm going to pull the deck up as a whole. Now, as we scroll, I'm going to pop back into this top 8. Now, primarily, when it comes to one of the reasons why we played this deck is we really feel like against this typical kind of boat brew deck right here, and this is one right here, that we're really going to be super, super strong against them. Sure they're going to be able to keep up pressure on us by casting these nifty economy cards, but they do have some whammies that they can draw that kind of get them a bit behind. If they draw Mog Fanatic, for instance, or oftentimes Knight of the White Orchid won't be that good against us. Sometimes it is. It's a pretty neat card. This guy's got 2 Banefires. Ooh, scary. Ooh, bad. that could lead to trouble. I like Banefire a lot, by the way. But what have you. So we get some nice card economy. Path to Exile, for instance. If we cast a wall and they Path to Exile it so often, that's going to lead to them getting a cruel ultimatum in their face, and that's no fun for them. These decks particularly struggle against our friend Broodmate Dragon, which is one of the reasons why I think Wafo-Tapa was the one who really put his foot down and said, hey, Broodmate is a big deal. Manuel is also a gigantic fan of him. So I think we're really a strong matchup against this deck. We also bring in more sweepers after sideboarding, and that's going to help us even a little bit more with our Infests and our Wrath of Gods that are going to come in. Now, there's also kind of this classic white weenie deck. You may have seen my buddy Charlie Gindy did a video on this, and he did pretty well with a white weenie deck. This is back to this Monsters Inc. deck. This is actually a bad matchup for us, by the way. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, at least game 1, it's a bad matchup. I think after sideboarding, we're much, much stronger. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if we don't end up with a Monsters Inc. versus Keeper matchup in the finals. That is a possible outcome. This is another very boat brewish kind of deck, slightly different variant. Right here is now this is the deck we're going to be playing against. And we're happy that this guy doesn't have head games in his sideboard. That's one of the cards we fear. Now, LSV is smart, and he has them. And not that this guy isn't smart. I think that he's perfectly a good player. Obviously, he's in the top 8. But his deck is a bit more built to beat the Mirror and so forth. And these Scepters of Fouge just are not as scary for us. They kind of slow him down a bit. Johnny Goldmane's not as good after sideboarding. Cedric Phillips. Again, I don't know what's going to happen in this matchup. I think that Gabriel's got the edge, but of course it's Magic. You shuffle the cards, and you never know what's going to happen. Cedric Phillips here is another guy who's making his first top 8. Congratulations to him. Player from Ohio who's been around for a while and just had a great tournament here. This is White Weenie, very aggressive. He's got these nasty gold medal stalwarts that just get out there and start beating on your head, and got these figures of destiny, and they're aggressive, and Knights of Metagrain and Wise and Sens, and they just get after you. They come after you fast. They've got all these Windbrisk heights for card economy, and then they're going to, after sideboarding, board in Elspeth against us. But still, this is a really strong matchup for us. Honestly, we would love to play against White Weenie. We love to play against Boat Brew, and that's one of the reasons why we played this deck. Here's LSV's. LSV's black-white deck is much scarier because he has these 2 head games in the sideboard. Also, he has Terror main deck instead of Path to Exile, so he's much better against our walls. This is going to be a tougher matchup if Gabriel makes it to the finals and he has to face off against LSV. That's going to be a little bit more difficult. And let's have a look here. One of the things I want to point out about this deck matchup-wise, and this is something that Patrick pointed out, is that our main deck, as we look through our main deck here, it's really every single card is good against fairies. There's not a single card here that fairies just says, hey, that's no big deal. I don't care about that. All the cards are good, and that's one of the ways, for instance, he had to play against a fairy deck in the second to last round in order to even make top 8. And there you go. He was able to beat it. And, so having, this main deck that's very, very strong against fairies, and then in our sideboard, we're going to be able to bring in these negates, this remove soul, these scepters of Fouge, and these wide winds, and really break the matchup wide open. We think we really win after that. Probably bring in the Wisp Mare as well. Okay, and then we've got, and this is a fairy deck. So this is, look at, another deck that, again, as we match up against this deck. Now this guy's got a particularly tough version of fairies for us main deck. I think we might be a bit of a dog to this deck. We're happy that this guy's playing Agony Warp instead of Terror, but that's about the last thing that this guy does to help us out. He's got a bunch of cheap counter magic. He's got the Broken Ambitions and the Remove Souls, so that's a pain for us. Rather than playing with the Sowers of Temptation, which apparently he doesn't have in the main deck or in the sideboard, he's playing with Jace's main deck, and that's nasty for us. He's got 3 Remove Souls. That's nasty for us. Of course, he's got his 4 Bitter Blossoms. Shriekmaw, Shriekmaw, by the way, actually it's kind of got the Terror ability. Might even be better than Terror against us, so nasty for us. Glenalendra Archmage, we don't want to see her. He's got no Scions of Ona, so that's bad news for us. And then after sideboarding, he's going to be able to, what is he going to do? I don't know what he's going to do against us. Maybe mess around with that Liliana Vess. Maybe, of course he's going to get rid of these Agony Warps. I don't want to give this guy any help. I don't know. I don't know exactly how he would sideboard this. Maybe those makeshift mannequins come in big. I'm not particularly sure how he sideboards this matchup, but I like this fairy deck. Obviously, this gentleman, not able to quickly pronounce his name, but he's done a great job. Okay, I've walked through some of the matchups and how we sideboard. If we do run into the Monsters Inc. matchup, as I look, this is Monsters Inc. right here. I'll show it to you, and that'll be the next deck that we get to in my next video. Then this is a difficult matchup for us. We really struggle game 1 with this. Once we bring in our Wraths, we have a better chance. Our Wraths help a lot. We've got a few other things that are going to help out. Obviously, the Miser Remove Soul is nice here. The Purge is nice. But this is tough. This is a tough one. I like these Gaddock Teagues. Gaddock Teague, actually, when I was building Monsters, Inc., well, I'll get to that when I talk about Monsters, Inc., but one of the reasons I first came up with Monsters, Inc. was I really wanted to play Gaddock Teague. Okay, well, that's a bit of a look and, taking you inside. And I really hope that you feel like you got a real insider's perspective here and not just, not just a bunch of fluff. And if you have questions or comments, you can email me at mikelongmagic@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your questions and comments and your ideas, and maybe I'll even respond to those in my next video. All right, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the coverage of Pro Tour Kyoto as much as I am, and I hope you're enjoying Magic the Gathering. Take care. On behalf of myself, we'll get more to talking about the culture of Magic with Richard Garfield and with Scaff Elias in the near future. This was more of a competitive look at the game. But on behalf of myself and Richard and Scaff, I want to say thank you. And I also want to really enjoyed the experience of working on this pro tournament with Patrick, who's just tremendous, and our great teammates, Manuel, obviously Gabriel, Jamie, and Mark, and Wafo-Tapa, the Ruel brothers. Everybody sort of came together on this deck. Don't want to leave anybody out, but if I did, my apologies. All right, thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.